Welcome to the world before the rebellion. Today, we're recapping the first season of Andor, the Star Wars series that explores the origins of Cassian Andor's journey to becoming a rebel hero. 5 years before the Battle of Yavin, Cassian Andor looks for his missing sister on the industrial planet of Morlana 1. While investigating, Cassian is antagonized by 2 officers. An altercation ensues, leading to Cassian accidentally killing one officer and murdering the other. On the planet Ferrix, he attempts to hide his involvement by convincing his adopted mother, Marva, her droid, B2MO, and his friend, Brasso, to cover for him. Having a Starpath unit, a valuable piece of Imperial navigation technology, Cassian asks his friend Bix to connect him with a black market buyer. Bix reluctantly agrees and contacts the buyer. To improve his report to the Imperial authorities, Morlana 1's chief inspector of security elects to cover up the 2 killings. However, his deputy, the dutiful Cyril Karn, is determined to solve the case. He identifies Cassian's ship, traces it to Ferrix, and learns that the fugitive is from the planet Kenari. In a flashback, a younger Cassian, known as Kassa, joins a group on Kenari who set off to locate a crashed ship. Kassa rebuffs his younger sister's efforts to join the search, leaving her behind in their tribal encampment. B2MO informs Cassian and Marva of the warrant. Cassian prepares to flee the planet. Meanwhile, Luthen Rail Bix's buyer travels to Ferrix to obtain the Starpath unit. In a flashback, Kassa and his fellow tribal members locate and investigate the crashed ship near a massive abandoned industrial strip mining operation. When one of their own is killed by a crew member of the downed ship, the tribe kills the attacker and quickly leaves the crash site. Kassa stays behind to explore the ship. Luthen arrives on Ferrix and meets Cassian in an abandoned factory. Cyril and Mosk also appear with a dozen security officers. They confront Marva, who refuses to cooperate. Intercepting a transmission from Cassian to B2MO, Cyril pinpoints Cassian's position. Cassian wants to sell the Starpath unit and leave Ferrix. However, Luthen tries to persuade him to join his rebel network, citing Cassian's repeated success at stealing from and sabotaging Imperial ships. After learning of Tim's betrayal, Bix rushes to aid Cassian, only to be stopped by the officers. Tim is killed when he attempts to intervene. Luthen and Cassian escape the planet while Cyril and Mosk request evacuation. In a flashback, Marva and her husband, Clem, scavenge the crashed ship on Kenari and find Kassa. Marva decides to take him with them, fearing his fate if he is discovered there by the Republic. Luthen takes Cassian to the planet Aldhani, asking him to join a robbery mission there. Cassian is reluctant but eventually agrees. Luthen asks him to use a pseudonym among the rebels, and Cassian chooses Clem. Vel, the rebel group's leader, introduces him to the rest of the group but keeps Luthen's involvement a secret. They explain to Cassian that they plan on stealing the payroll of an Imperial sector from a key Imperial supply hub, taking advantage of a rare natural phenomenon in Aldhani's sky to escape since their getaway vehicle is slow. Meanwhile, on Coruscant, Luthen, posing as an antiques dealer, meets with Senator Mon Mothma, and they discuss challenges in keeping their opposition to the Empire hidden. On Aldhani, Clem hides his past from his fellow rebels and is met with distrust from most of them, particularly Skeen. Termin trains Cassian and the other rebels for the planned heist. While traveling to the Aldhani Imperial garrison, Cassian reveals that he is a mercenary. Vel decides to continue with the mission and hold off on dealing with Clem's past until they have achieved their objectives. Imperial officer and double agent Lieutenant Gorn covertly aids the rebels. Aided by Gorn, the rebels infiltrate the garrison by posing as an escort squad for Commandant Jehol Behaz, Gorn's superior. They take Behaz's family as hostages and force him to give them access to the payroll vault. While loading the credits onto a freighter, they are discovered by Imperial forces. Termin and Gorn are killed in the ensuing firefight. Cinta is unable to make it onto the ship, so only Cassian, Skeen, Vel, and Nemik escape from Aldhani. During takeoff, Nemik is crushed by an unsecured load of credits and suffers a severe injury. They land on the planet Fresno to treat Nemik's injuries. With Vel occupied looking after Nemik, Skeen proposes to Cassian that they flee and split the payroll between the two. Enraged and fearing for his life, Cassian kills Skeen. He tells Vel about what happened and informs her of his plans to take the amount he was promised as payment and leave. Vel gives Cassian Nemik's manifesto in accordance with Nemik's dying wishes. On Coruscant, Cyril starts a new job at the Bureau of Standards. Colonel Wolf Eulerin announces that the ASP has gained more surveillance and punitive authority, while Dedra is challenged by Blevin for breaking protocol by accessing Imperial data without authorization. Luthen's assistant Kleya instructs Vel to find and kill Cassian, as he knows Luthen's identity. Mon Mothma meets with Tay Kolma, an old friend and banker, and asks him to help her access family funds. Cassian returns to Ferrix to settle old debts and learns that people blame him for the Imperial security crackdown. The presence of stormtroopers on Ferrix reminds Cassian of how his adoptive father, Clem, was murdered by Imperial clone troopers during a protest on Rix Road. Cassian attempts to get Marva to leave Ferrix with him, but she decides to stay and oppose the increased Imperial presence. Cassian travels to the tropical tourist paradise of Niamos, adopting the name Keef Gurgo. Sometime later, while walking towards a local store, he is unjustly arrested by a Shora trooper and sentenced to 6 years of imprisonment. Cassian is brought to an island prison on Narkina 5, discovering that it is a hard labor camp with thousands of other prisoners. He ends up meeting the prisoner floor manager Kino Loy, who runs the rules of the prison to him. He works with his fellow prisoners to put together specific machinery. Vel and Cinta travel to Ferrix to search for him. Dedra questions Cyril about his experiences on Ferrix, but declines his offer to help with her investigation. She leads a unit to Ferrix herself, where she apprehends Bix. Dedra and Imperial scientist Dr. Gorsh torture Bix for information and realize that Cassian may have been involved in the Aldhani heist. They fail to learn anything about Bix's caller Luthen. The ISP capture a rebel pilot from Krieger's group, who reveals that a power station on Spellhouse is set to be raided. Meanwhile, an elderly member of Cassian's prison work crew named Ulaf is euthanized by a prison medic named Dr. Rassiv when he suffers a massive stroke, days from his release date. Dr. Rassiv confirms to Cassian Loy a disturbing rumor. A prisoner who had completed his sentence was sent to work on a different level instead of being released, forcing the prison to kill all the prisoners on that level in a cover-up. Cassian and Kino realize that the prison will never let them go, convincing Kino to join Cassian's scheme to escape. By breaking a water pipe and flooding his work floor, Cassian disables the floor security system, allowing work crews there to overpower the few guards and escape. Kino uses the prison's intercom system to encourage other floors to escape, and the rebellion sweeps through the entire prison. Despite his role in the escape, Kino reveals that he can't swim and stays behind. Mon Mothma meets with Davo Skuldan, a shady businessman who offers to help finance her projects. But Mon refuses after Davo requests that Mon arrange a meeting between her daughter and his son. ISB supervisor Lana Young, secretly a rebel informant, meets with Luthen and updates him on ISB activities. Marva dies, prompting a funeral ceremony on Ferrix, which Dedra encourages in the hopes that Andor will attend. Vel informs Kleya about Marva's death and learns of Mon Mothma's reluctant plan to marry off her daughter to secure funding through Davo Skuldan. Saw Gerrera decides at the last moment to assist Krieger's attack on Spellhouse, but Luthen advises him against it, revealing that the ISB know about the impending assault. While returning to Coruscant, Luthen escapes from an Imperial patrol, destroying several TIE fighters and a tractor beam. With help from Caridians Dewey and Freedy, Cassian and fellow prisoner Ruskat Melshi are able to escape from Narkina 5 and travel to Niamos to recover Cassian's belongings. After Cassian discovers that Marva has died, Cassian and Melshi part ways. Cassian returns to Ferrix for Marva's funeral and learns of Bix's imprisonment. Dedra and the local Imperial garrison prepare to use the funeral to capture Andor for questioning regarding access. Using the Imperial ambush as cover, Luthen plans, with Vel and Cinta's assistance, to kill Cassian to keep him from possibly divulging any secrets. The ISB succeed in stopping Krieger's attack, but leave no prisoners, angering Dedra. Mothma's 13-year-old daughter Leda is introduced to Davo Skuldan's 14-year-old son. During the funeral, B-2MO displays a recording of Marva, who rallies the populace to fight the Empire, creating a riot. During the confusion, Cassian rescues Bix, while Cyril saves Dedra from being attacked. Meeting with B-2MO, Brasso, and several others in a shipyard, Cassian convinces them to take Bix somewhere safe away from Ferrix. Moved by the rebellion on Ferrix, Luthen returns to his ship where Cassian is waiting. Knowing of Luthen's intentions in Ferrix, Cassian offers a choice. Luthen can either kill him or take him in, to which Luthen smiles. In a post-credits scene, droids assemble the machinery produced by the Narkina 5 prisoners in the firing dish of the Death Star. That's it for our recap of Andor Season 1. What did you think of Cassian's origin story and the birth of the rebellion? Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel for more Star Wars recaps and breakdowns, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on anything. Thanks for watching.